So the forthcoming one presenter is Fabien Gouyon from Pandora, which I have to say I know very well. Fabien leads the Pandora SXM data science research team in Europe. The team works on machine learning, music information retrieval, recommendation systems, and NLP, and apply the research to personalized music and audio recommendation. Fabien was also the president of the International Society of Music Information Retrieval until 2017. And today he will present his talk about lean back or lean in. So please, Fabien, the floor is yours whenever you want to start.
All right. Can you hear me? Okay. Yep. All right.
Yes.
And you can see my screen, I guess.
Yes.
All right. So yeah, thank you, Massimo, for the kind introduction, and thank you for the workshop, all of the workshop organizers for inviting me, and you all for out there spending your time with us. Yeah, so my name is Fabien Gouyon, work at SXM Pandora. Today I will be talking a bit about some things we've done in NLP and voice interaction, very much related to the first talk of this session. But actually what I mean, these are just means of reaching something, and what I really want to talk about is that something which I think is really an important topic for the future of music streaming, which is the good balance, the best balance between leaning in and leaning back in the musical experience. What I really want to talk about is my birthday, though, which is why we have a cake there. Yeah, it was my birthday, not today, but just a few days ago. And actually, as a matter of fact, maybe a third of the people in this picture here have their birthday just around the same date. So all the people in the team, I don't know, that's some weird fact of life. So, if it would have been a normal time in the world, we might have had a common party together, right? A birthday party. We would have be in the office and do some party. What would we do? I mean, working at Pandora, we would have some music playing for us, and we would very likely, as you do when you try to, when you're starting a party, we would be leaning back. That is, we wouldn't want to be too much involved into the the UI and building a playlist and this or that. We would just press a button, right, and just say, okay, play. And maybe that would be my party, really. So I would decide what we would start with, and we would go with 90s alternative to feel half my age again, and listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers and these things. So we'd start the radio station. So radio stations on Pandora is like, you can start with any seed you want, like a genre in this example. It could be an artist, it could be a track, whatever, a composer, and then tracks go one after the others, and you can thumb up, thumb down, interact a bit. So that's a bit of leaning in, but basically you can also lean back completely and just let the music play, and it's personalized. But, and here's the cake again, there's really many flavors of 90s alternative. Just like flavors of cake. This is actually the cake I had for my birthday. I was asked by my family, what do you want for your birthday cake? And I might have said, yeah, something with lemon and meringue and chocolate and mango. And they were like, okay, you're going to have 5 different cakes. So just this to say that there are also in 90s alternative many different types of flavors of 90s alternative. So we have devised a feature, not just for this radio station, but for all of the radio stations, which is called Modes. You're welcome to try it out, where the user can sort of lean in a little bit more and ask for a particular flavor for the radio station. So that can be deep cuts of 90s alternative. It can be, discovery of 90s alternative, or if it's an artist station, artist only station, this kind of stuff, with personalization on top of that. But there's another layer again, which is that some stations, like it's the case of 90s alternative, have received a special treatment, which is that they have curated modes, right? So on top of the different modes that we can have, we have asked our curators at Pandora, so curators, just, you know, musicians, awesome musicians, would I say, they really know their craft, they know what they're doing. And we've asked them to, for a number of stations, maybe, I don't know exactly, maybe 30 stations right now, I don't know, maybe more. We've asked them to define specific flavors for the station. So here we would have 5 different ones that would let the user, you know, lean in a bit more. I could want the party to go to grunge, 90s alternative. So you'd have your Foo Fighters and this kind of stuff. Or I could ask for alt rock, one-hit wonders, flavor of 90s alternative, Britpop, and you'd get your Blur and Oasis and this kind of stuff. Or 90s indie, a bit more on the edge, you'd have the Pixies. So with this feature, we are letting the user lean in a little bit more, but that's still a relatively lean back experience. So what are all the options, right, that I could navigate my stations with? So we've seen grunge, alt rock, Britpop, but, you know, I mean, there's many different things that we could possibly want to navigate, right? There's so many ways to describe the musical content. You'd have the mood, chill out, maybe I want some badass 90s alternative, or some, I don't know, you know, something about the lyrics would be about alcohol. I want to specify something about the harmony, the rhythm, all of that. So that's a lot of possibilities. And you might ask, okay, so why don't we just, you know, unleash all of that data to the user, make it available to them, and then they can just lean in as much as they want in the moment. Why not? And that's the best representation I thought of why not, because, you know, there's only so many buttons and you know, interactions and explicit visual or tangible UI controls that you can put in front of the user. It rapidly gets too complex, overwhelming, and if you're not an aircraft pilot, you just you know, that's just too much. You just don't, you're just discouraged and eventually don't do anything. And that's where voice interaction comes in, actually. That's really a nice way to open up a whole world of possibilities, which you don't really see here, but they're there, with a very simple interface for the user to play with. So we've been working on voice interactions directly in the Pandora app for a while with the team I showed before. And there's a number of queries that now you can ask for on your phone. You can ask for known item queries. So that would be your, hey, Pandora, play Nirvana. And then you'd have like maybe the top songs of Nirvana, something. You can have, on the other end of the spectrum, really open-ended queries. Hey, Pandora, play something great. Play something awesome. Play something. You know, and here we really rely on maybe contextual cues and personalization to really drive this. And then you'd have somewhere in between thematic queries, maybe, you know, something like, hey, play some workout music, play something to party, and maybe some relatively complex thematic queries, such as, you know, play 90s alternative with female vocals, or play 90s alternative to chill out. And maybe now is a good moment to try and do a demo, which, well, you know, we'll try. Share, start sharing screen. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do this. All right, hello, that's Pedro, he bought the cakes. And that's Pandora. All right, so is this going to work? Let's try with, hey Pandora, play 90s alternative with female vocals.
Now playing your voiceless playlist.
Can you hear? Thank you. All right, so that's what we get. We get a playlist, which I'm showing you now. I like this song. Let me just, oh, this one goes here. Yeah, I like the song. But yeah, so you see you have your Cranberries, Four Non-Blondes, typically, so that's female vocals, and that's 90s alternative. Let me try something else. Hey, what should I want? Hey, Pandora, play Foo Fighters. Actually, you know what? Let's not do that. Let's not do that. Hey, Pandora, play Foo Fighters acoustic tracks. Hey, Pandora, play Foo Fighters acoustic tracks. Oh, didn't work. Not good. Let me try again. Hey, Pandora, play Foo Fighters tracks with dirty electric guitar.
Now playing your voice list playlist.
So again, I get this. Yeah. All right. And here's the playlist. For those who know, that's dirty. And what happened? Hey, Pandora. Hey, Pandora. Play Foo Fighters acoustic tracks. All right. Really has something about this one. It works. You should try yourself. Anyway, I think I don't have much time to keep on with this much more, but how do I do this? I have to stop sharing. I did stop sharing, and now going back to this. Am I sharing again? Oh, back to meeting. Share again. I'm sorry. This is going to work. Where is this? Okay. Am I sharing again? I think I'm sharing again. Okay. So yeah, I had a bunch of examples that you could try yourself actually by using Pandora. Maybe we can try it again later at the end. Anyway, and then looking at how that works inside a bit, opening up the box a little bit, with queries like play 90s alternative to chill out, we're going to have a look at what happens in there. So first of all, you have to, we spent a good amount of time working on understanding the catalog, right? So our catalog, which is really dynamic, we have, thousands of tracks coming up new every day, and they come with together with some metadata. And we also have some metadata from third parties, expertly curated. We also have some in-house experts tagging the data, the lyrics, different taxonomies that provide some metadata to our catalog items, and of course machine learning trying to extend the coverage of all those tags on the catalog. And so a good amount of work was actually about trying to match all these terms. Many times these are in different taxonomies, these are just different ways of describing the same concepts. And so mapping them is one difficulty with which we had. An extra difficulty is that people, of course, don't ask things like you want them to. So they use words that are not exactly the ones that you might have tagged your data with. So there's also a mapping that had to happen there. So we had to develop a new taxonomy, including the largest possible set of relevant concepts people could want to ask for, and a way to map that. There's also query understanding, the other part. So that was also a lot of work. So when people ask for 90s alternative to chill out, you have to parse this and find out what the intent is. Is it about playing music? Is it about stopping to play music? Is it about fast forward? whatever. There's a number of intents that are possible there, thumbing up, thumbing down. And then you have to be able to understand that chill out is actually a mood, that 90s is decade, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's done with an NLU module that we developed, schematized here. So we've used a bidirectional LSTM with a CRF layer on top, which is sort of, I don't know if it still can be said state of the art, but it's still quite common for sequence tagging. So there's nothing really super fancy here or super novel here. An interesting point here was actually to put this into production for, I mean, it's relatively complex still. So putting this into production and be able to serve, millions of queries, that's one thing. More interesting maybe was, I probably have not much time now anymore. Just tell me, Massimo, if I'm overdoing it. 1 minute. Oh my God. I'll do it. I'll be able. A particular interesting point here was actually the training part. So of course we used pre-training as the keynote we saw earlier actually advocated for. But another interesting part I want to talk about here is that we saw that the biggest improvement in the model came from changing the training data we trained it with. It's interesting because training data there with this problem is very scarce. It's difficult to come by data with a bunch of queries and ground truth for that. So we had to come up with a data augmentation technique, which if you want to know more about, you should look out for a paper that will be coming out hopefully soon by Sergio Ramas and Massimo Quadrana. So I'll stop here for that. Then, the other side of this, we have to match the queries in the catalog at the level of tag annotations, retrieve the queries, create the playlist on the fly, and rank these things and create the playlist, and all of that in a few milliseconds. Yes, what's my point? Reminder for myself. Where am I getting at? I think what I really want to, that's really the conclusion, I guess, is I just want to point out that I think a really important part of the future in music streaming is really to find the right balance between leaning in and leaning back. I think it's crucial to the music listening experience that we're going to be able to provide to users. And that's very difficult to achieve because, one, you can only go so far with providing listeners with explicit controls and buttons and tangible UIs. And you also need a handle on the user intent, which is difficult to get. And that's where processing user's voice is both a solution and a problem. A solution because there's potentially much more input information in a vocal request than in just a thumb up or a, one click. So processing voice can actually give us a larger window into guessing the user intent. And also listeners can interact directly with a very rich vocabulary, and hence making it possible to lean in and steer the music experience as much as they want. But it's also a problem because it's very hard. It's more prone to WTFs than just processing simple input of a click, right? But it being hard is, I would say, a good thing because it means that we have lots and lots of research opportunities in front of us, and that's going to be concluding my talk. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Fabien. Maybe a biased judgment, but very good talk. And but I mean, there are a bunch of unbiased questions on the chat. I think that everybody was blown away by the demo, and actually there are a bunch of questions around that. So the first one, Veronica is asking about whether we handle group requests when you identify a few different voices asking together for different songs, like kids shouting together. Do we satisfy the most dominant queries?
Oh, like several people talking at the same time and asking stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. That's the next level. No, we haven't done that. Definitely not. Although, yeah, I can see the usefulness of that. Yeah, definitely. I can see the usefulness of that. We haven't tried, in particular with kids. No.
All right. So we have a question from Samuel, who is asking, uh, basically, what kind of search is happening over the text that Pandora generates based on the raw text data, or is it learning from audio? Sorry, actually the question is the search happening over the text that Pandora generates based on the text, on the raw text data, or is it learning from audio? Is it learning from both?
Search? No, yeah, search is happening only. I mean, I'm not sure I got it completely, but let me know if I haven't. But search is happening only in the symbolic domain of text, right? There's no audio input happening at all in search.
Yeah, I think that
I hope
should
that
be
answers the question.
yeah.
If not, just tell me, hey, you didn't answer my question on Slack.
I saw Samuel like raising
Okay.
his thumb, so I guess you got
Okay.
it right. So there is a question from Alice, who's asking, is it creating, so the feature that you showed, is it creating the playlist on the fly based on the entities in the query, like genre instruments, or does it map to a predefined existing playlist?
No, it's on the fly. It's not pre-mapped or anything. It's just it's on the fly. You can ask pretty much anything. I mean, it's dependent on. You can't really ask for just anything because you need to have. I mean, if I do a complex queries like, hey, play Foo Fighters reggae track from the 50s, it's not gonna work because they don't have any reggae track and they were not born in the 50s, but it can, if it's a relatively, I mean, if the query makes sense, it will create the playlist directly on the fly for you, and it will be personalized too.
Cool. So there are a couple of more questions before we close. So there is one question from Elio who is asking, when generating a playlist with a request like 90s alternatives with female vocals, do you also take track of popularity? Do you take track popularity into consideration to avoid only returning stuff from the deep long tail, for example?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, that's a very good question. We do, because we look at that. We look at the popularity of tracks, because otherwise you can run into weird, unwanted behaviors. But we also look at the what the user, what we know about the user, like personalization. If the user is really into long tail stuff, then we won't prevent that from them, right? We will surface that in the playlist.
All right, so maybe just the last one before closing this session. So Samuel actually has a follow-up question. He's also wondering whether you can get information from the user's prosody or other voice features while asking the question to which might be informative for what kind of music they really want to hear.
That's really interesting. We're not doing this, but that's definitely something that is very likely informative. The way people ask for the question tells you a lot about what they actually want. So yeah, not yet.
All right. So
Yeah,
thank you, Fabien.
Yeah, just try it out. I mean, try Pandora and ask your own queries, and then provide feedback if you want.
All right. Thank you very much, Fabien. Thank you very much again to all the presenters of this session. And I guess we can close here, and we will see us again for the next keynote, right? We should come in less than 50 minutes. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sergio.
Yes, 15 minutes. Yeah.
Right. So see